episode of the Underdog podcast. Today we have a behind the business, but it's a little bit of a more of a special one for us today because we're going to talk a little bit more about our initiative now that we have Lee Asher on our team spearheading this new social impact campaign that we're working on. We're able to, I think it's very cool because we can go outside the realm of the day-to-day of business and still have an impact on the business overall. So just to kind of clear up what our impact is, or our social impact campaign, is that we're going to be donating cans at the end of every month to shelter workers, nurses, and other healthcare professionals, first responders, military personnel, really anybody who embodies the underdog spirit and mentality that is overlooked, and they're having an impact on our lives every day, and they really just go under the radar. You know what I mean? So that's something very special to us, and we're glad that we have somebody with the influence like Lee Asher to really help us build this mission and expand and get people to know not just the brand, and we talked about this all the time, but the product is really just the vessel for what we're trying to do. And I think if we can have an impact on more lives, on both ends of it, like whether you're talking about the brand overall with doing these sort of donating cans and actually going and visiting shelters and stuff like that, or the product itself being a cleaner alternative, like we're kind of hitting it from two different angles. But we wanted to walk you guys through kind of our first animal shelter visit that we had. Dylan, you set it up, so why don't you kind of give us the lay of the land on that one?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago now. I guess that was 3 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks. Time's gone by quick with everything going on. But yeah, we went to the animal shelter in Kettabunk, the Humane Society. No, what was it? Animal Welfare Society. I
Yes,
think that's what
AWS.
yes. And yeah, it was great. They have quite the facility over there, and it's in a great spot. They had, I think it was like 40 acres of
Mm-hmm.
trails and everything for, obviously, I'm sure they take the dogs out, but also people like us to come take the dogs on a walk, spend some time with them outdoors. So it was great. We got there, brought the cases in, kind of checked in, met some of the dogs, and then we took Eddie. He is the longest standing or longest staying dog. Um, at the shelter. He'd been there 6 years. I
Yeah,
forget what it
I think
was. Yeah,
so. Yeah.
he's been there a while, so we took him out. He was a mixed breed, pretty large dog, or sniffer for sure. Checked out absolutely everything, and yeah, we took
It was raining too. He couldn't wait to get outside
yeah,
just to like walk around.
oh yeah, took him out, and it was great. And you kind of see the sad reality of it, how excited the dogs are to get out, and then you make the loop around and you come back, and it's like they're back to home. They kind of get a little taste of it, which is sad, but I think it's still good to take them out, spend some time with them, get them outside of their little shelter cell. Um, but yeah, it was great. And then we had two other dogs. They were brother and sister,
I think they're two brothers.
two brothers,
Yeah.
totally different sizes, which was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. One was way bigger than the other, Cosmo and Riggs. And yeah, they have
Or
a
brothers from another mother. I don't know, but they definitely look like different breeds, honestly.
yeah, one
Uh,
was way bigger than the other, but yeah, we spent some time with them inside, with the toys, played fetch with them, just got them moving around, which was great, and the staff was awesome there. They were super helpful and insightful to, the dog's background, why they were in there, how long they've been there, that sort of thing. If people were interested in adopting them. And yeah, the whole goal was one, these are the types of people, the true underdogs, that they do, um, the work that really gets overlooked and
yeah, they do God's
underappreciated.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be able to give them something that gives them a little boost, to be able to give back is, it's great. It's meaningful for us. It's great for them, for the brand, and ultimately, it's helping the dogs. So it was great. So after we kind of spent some time with the dogs, we were able to get a little tour of the shelter, put the cases in the back, stock their fridge up. So anyone kind of in their break lunchroom is more than welcome to help themselves. So it was great. And then I think obviously it's a content piece for us, yes, but it also promotes their shelter. Anyone that follows us sees their page, and it helps get their awareness out there, awareness for ultimately the dogs, to hopefully help them find a forever home as well.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the more impactful ways that we can promote like the shelters and stuff like that, is like eventually, like, right now we only have like just under 8,000 followers on Instagram. But if we had 100,000 or 500,000 or a million, and we're like, we took Eddie for a walk today, like he's looking to, for a forever home and so on and so forth, like
Someone's going to see that.
higher likelihood that somebody's going to take him, you know what I mean? Which is great. And that's the end goal. But it's a process to get there, as is anything. But I mean, I think this is really just a step in the right direction. I mean, we've talked about doing stuff with firefighters and police officers and everything like that. I think that the opportunity is there to do that. It's just a matter of finding the right people that are involved. I mean, we have one person that signed up for the Underdog Allies program that's a firefighter. Like it's cool. You know what I mean? We send them cases, and God knows those guys are drinking. Men and women are drinking energy drinks on a regular basis.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we have a couple firefighters in town that I played hockey with their kids, and like one, their hours are crazy, but two, their time when they're at the fire station and they're not, in the line of fire, no pun intended, like they're working out. Like that's what those
Yeah.
guys do. So it's great. It's perfect. I think that'll be awesome. When you look at the number of like overnight shift nurses, like they're drinking their Celsius
Mhm.
typically, or their Alana, so to be able to give them, the option and be able to give back is awesome.
Yeah, and I think like the common denominator with all these professions, whether it's shelter workers, nurses, firefighters, is like the long shifts. And if we can continually improve our formula where it gives them that, like, the time release caffeine is a perfect example, but just like things of that nature that can have a bigger impact on their lives where they're not having, 1,000 milligrams of caffeine on a night shift or whatever it might be. And I think, we will over time, whether it's other kinds of nootropics and different variations of it, or maybe it's more, we lean more on the time release caffeine side of things.
Yeah, I was gonna say even now, like with the nootropics, like being able to give them some of those functional ingredients in a can that's not just a caffeine bomb really. Be able to give them alpha GPC and lion's mane, even the citrulline to help with blood flow. Like those are all important things, whether you're physically working out or mentally working out, where you're on shift, you're on call, you need to be awake, you need to be alert. It's perfect for that.
Yeah. And I genuinely wonder what the split on those kinds of professions are for caffeine consumption. Like, do you think there are any people that don't like, oh, I'm sure there are some, but percentage wise, what would you say are the percentages for the people that consume caffeine versus don't consume caffeine?
In those professions,
Yeah.
say it's probably pretty high. Like I'd probably maybe even greater than 80% of them are consuming caffeine on a whatever you want to call regular basis. Like, you know, consume caffeine 4 days a week, let's say. I bet you it's over 80% of them.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. I'm totally guessing, but
Yeah. That'd be an interesting stat to have. I'm sure there's something out there, especially for nurses. There's probably some stat out there just because it's so prominent. Like that is just a common thing that people do. Um, but another piece of this, let's talk about. I know we weren't really going to talk about it, but let's talk about the ingredient landscape right now because I think that is kind of a not to go away from the initiative and everything like that. We'll tie it back in at the end, but taurine is under the spotlight right now, highly scrutinized. We've seen other ingredients kind of come under the spotlight over recent months, really just the past year, I'd say, or last couple of years. I mean, the first big thing was with Celsius getting banned by the NCAA because of taurine as a performance enhancing ingredient. So I guess what are your thoughts on where things are at? And I think right now, as a newer brand, as a startup brand, where we're not big enough where it's difficult to pivot. Like we're still small that we can pivot. So I think that's the beauty of where we're at is that we can stay ahead of kind of where the market's going and where the consumer education lies. We'll be able to adapt much faster than bigger brands can, at the end of the day.
yeah, and I think, that's why we spent so much time when we originally formulated Underdog. It was to avoid ingredients. Like, you know, we wanted to stay true to our roots. We wanted to have a fully transparent label, create a healthier, more effective alternative. Like, that's why we don't have ingredients like taurine in there because of the scrutiny it's faced, for NCAA. And now, obviously, there's this study out that shows that cancer cells feed off taurine to possibly grow and spread faster. But that's kind of a whole nother topic or situation. But that's why we spent so much time
Mhm.
formulating UD, was to really learn about some of these ingredients that are facing more scrutiny than others, and why, particularly in the sweetener space. You know, I guess on the topic of taurine, like, yes, it's a very effective ingredient, and that's why NCAA has banned it, because of its performance
Mhm.
benefits. Obviously, like we said, it's under scrutiny for other reasons
We don't
now.
use taurine, to be clear.
Yes, and obviously, yes.
I'm
Uh,
not saying you. I'm talking to the listeners.
yes. Um, but yeah, I mean, the landscape, it's always going to be shifting. There's always going to be things. I mean, I think one of the greatest comparisons or examples is eggs. Like in the
Mm,
50s, eggs were part of a hearty breakfast, like
yeah,
bacon and eggs, and then it was, well, no, don't eat eggs, just eat the white because the yolk is bad for you and it's
yeah,
full of cholesterol. And then it's like, well, no, there's good and bad cholesterol, and the
yeah.
egg has good cholesterol, so eat eggs. And it's like, okay, now we're back on eggs. And then it's
I
like,
think that's the root of the conversation too, is just cholesterol, like overall from a general standpoint, is like good versus bad cholesterol. And most people can't tell the difference, and nor can the researchers apparently.
yes, and it's just like conflicting. So it's like, well, this is good for you, now it's bad for you, now it's good for you. And I think that's kind of the systemic, like, blanket across the ingredient space in supplements and in food and beverage in particular. Like, there's always going to be ingredients that come under flack. Like, even look at sugar. Sugar was demonized. Wow, we 40 grams of sugar, we need to avoid this at all costs. And then we move to artificial sweeteners, which are great. They're calorically free. Someone trying to lose weight or
Mhm.
reduce their caloric intake, artificial sweetener, great option. There's no calories in it. Like, you can
Mhm.
have your Coke Zero and still have that, effect or whatever it is of having a Coke, but there's not 240 calories in a can. Um, and now they're like, well, artificial sweeteners might not be as great for you as we originally thought. And yeah, now, you're getting back to more natural roots like apple sugar or honey or maple syrup as a sweetener that has sugar content, but it's natural. So, like, I think there's always going to be debate. There's always going to be um, ingredients and topics in food and beverage that are going to transition from whether they're good for you or bad for you.
Mhm.
There are going to be trends, and at the same time, there's also going to be ingredients that are just not good for you. Like,
Yeah.
and that's how it is. New research comes out; it's not so wishy washy. But we always want to stay ahead of that. We want to create the healthiest, most effective performance beverage available, and we want to use the research and the ingredients that are going to help us do that.
Yeah.
So, like you said, being small helps us, be able to pivot quickly, faster than other brands that are, major suppliers. Any of the Pepsi products or Coke, for example, like, if you're in national distribution, it's very difficult to pivot or launch a
Mhm.
new line, something like that. When you're small and primarily online, for example, it's a lot easier to transition, make a change your formula. Um, but yeah, I mean, the bottom line or moral of the story is we want to stay ahead of, the market trends and
Yeah.
create the healthiest beverage we can.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of that too is like staying streamlined, like kind of sticking to our roots of like not just a clean formulation, but like limited ingredients to give you what you need to perform or cognitive or physically. I always think about, and it was funny because I used to eat these all the time, but like the minute and a half rice packs that you like heat up. If you look at the other ingredients section on something like that, it is like that long.
Yeah, because they got to make it shelf stable. They got to make it last
And
and
it's
be
not even just
ready.
that, but like the flavor, like how they get the flavor into it and everything. Like you look at it and there's a bunch of artificial stuff. Like when I'm looking for stuff like that, you just like look for rice. You know what I mean? And that's like kind of the same approach that we want to take. And I think moving forward, like if we have alternative sweeteners that we can use that take out, two or three ingredients, great, right? It's advantageous. You know what I mean?
And we already have one of the shortest
Oh
ingredient
yeah.
lists. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I
like a
mean,
little tiny blurb. People ask where it is because it's so small.
yeah.
You turn over most products today that have been processed. Again, it could be across the food and beverage industry. Like the list of other ingredients is long. The list of whatever it might be, emulsification agents, preservatives, sweeteners, flavors, like it goes on and on.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that we want to avoid. We want to be fully transparent. That's why we have a supplement facts panel. That's why we have a short other ingredient list. Those are all things that contribute to that.
Yeah. And I think when we think about who we're kind of crafting this for, we talk about back to the initiative and the social impact. Like you think of nurses, you think of firefighters. Like generally speaking, those are people who take care of themselves for the most part from a health standpoint. You know what I mean? Whether they're staying physically fit, they're eating the right foods, like they're going to be looking for those kinds of things. So that's the other piece to staying ahead of the market is that we're making this for a specific audience, even though there's going to be whether it's the taste or certain performance ingredients that we use in there, there's always going to be people that are saying stuff like, that's not for me or whatever. Okay, great. Like, we didn't make it for you. You know what I mean? Like, we're making it for a specific audience because it's a need. And like, when you have a need, you have to stay to your values. I think that's the other piece about this whole market shift thing and the transitioning back and forth in debates is that if you, okay, the trend is this and you switch over to that, and then all of a sudden it switched back the other way, and then you're constantly playing flip flop. So I think part of it is staying true to your values of like what you are and what you believe in.
What's our purpose?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like you can make the decisions, your own decisions based on what is out there, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's like you're making an educated guess when all is said and done, which is difficult to do. But if you really have something that an idea or a concept or a vision for something, like the rest is just noise. Like you just got to stay on it. And I think that's what we're trying to do anyways, but there's always weeds in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we're going to adapt. I mean, we did already. If you look at, I'm sure we talked about it in a previous episode, but if we talk about beta alanine, we removed it for a specific reason, and that's because our audience was expanding. Yes, the product was originally made for those hardcore athletes that would benefit from beta alanine, but with opportunities we had in the market, we needed to adapt. And I think that's an example of how we've done it in the past and how we're going to continue to do it in the future.
Hmm. Yeah. And I always turn back to kind of when we started, which was just clothing, right? And like how big of an impact, very few brands can have an impact with just clothing, right? And I think when we got into this space of supplementation and energy drinks and everything like that, we wanted to have a bigger impact on our audience, which at the time was specifically just athletes. So now we're kind of like at this point where we've created an impactful product, a healthier alternative, and now it's taking that next step of impact. How can we have a bigger impact and play a bigger role, in the long term, in society as a whole, and not many brands really do that. They kind of stop at the product level of like this making the impact, but there are so many brands out there, but not necessarily in the energy drink space, that do the kind of social impact campaigns and make that like a pivotal piece to their brand story and identity. I always think of Bombas, like the sock. They donate I think it's every pair of socks sold. They donate socks to the homeless. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like they built their brand around that, and I think that's impactful. Like a lot of people,
They buy the socks because of that.
yes, yes. And at the end of the day, if you have a good product and you're doing that, you're kind of adding value from two different standpoints. And I think that's absolutely what we're trying to do. Like this isn't just like buy our energy drink so we can, donate cans or make an impact here. Like it's yes, but it's also, it's an energy drink that's healthier for you, that is going to have a bigger impact on your daily life, whether it's in the gym, in the office, studying, whatever it might be. Um, and I think it's just about enhancing those two areas. Like, how do we get to that end goal of making a bigger impact? And it's doing the shelter visits. It's, I was thinking about, dropping cases off at a fire station or something like that. Like just spending the day with them, like getting a workout in with them or something like that. I think it would be pretty cool because I mean, I'm not a firefighter, you know.
Come
But
on, Joe, we need you today.
yeah, but like a documentary. How cool would that be? Like a documentary style video
A
of
day in the
a day in
life.
the life with a firefighter. What documentary series can you think of besides maybe like a 9/11 special from like they do the documentary. I mean, every time 9/11 comes around, they do the documentary style videos on that. Obviously, it's mostly focused on firefighters. But what have you seen before that actually goes through a day in the life with a firefighter? Like I don't know one.
Yeah.
You
Is that
know,
a thing? Can you do a day in the life of the firefighter?
I don't know, but like I don't know, just spending the day with them at the fire station, like working out, maybe reminds me of Sebastian Maniscalco. Do you know who Sebastian Maniscalco is? The comedian, yeah. And he's talking about like how he wishes he was he was on the raid for Osama bin Laden with the SEALs. And he's like, not like actually in with the SEALs, just like riding on a SEAL's back. Like, where are we going next? Guy's hilarious.
Like Yoda?
Yeah, yeah. Oh god. But yeah, I mean, not necessarily jumping on a firefighter's back, but you know what I mean? Just like kind of just in the shadows a little bit.
Yeah. We
Um,
used to, when I was little, every year in elementary school, we'd get a tour of the fire hall.
yeah,
Take us
yeah, yeah,
by. They show us the jaws of life. Like they'd have an old scrap car out back, and they'd
yeah,
show us like ripping the door off of the jaws of life,
yeah.
like stuff like that. Let us go down the fire pole.
Yeah, that was the one that I always wanted to do that I never did when I was a kid. Like we'd go there and I'd see it. I was like, oh my god, but they never let us. They never let us do it.
uh,
Oh god.
they don't care in Canada. There's no fires. They let us go down.
Oh god.
But no, I think that would be super cool, and I know that's one on our list too. Is obviously a shelter visit, but also fire hall, police station, um, those types of professions that, like we said, are underserved, overlooked, underappreciated.
Mhm.
To be able to give back to them, and that's a little something they'll appreciate. Little pick me up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But everything's a journey, everything's a process. So this is really just like it almost feels like the start of a new brand, kind of in a way. So we're still trying to find like the best ways to do things, and with partnerships or giving free product to the people that appreciate it and that use those things. I think would go a much longer way. But take a look at our social media. That's where, so Instagram mostly is where we have all these videos and where we're going to be posting everything. And I think the goal in the long term is to turn our YouTube into a more long form content, for maybe it's like a documentary style day in the life 24/7 kind of thing down the line, which would be really cool. And then use Instagram for the shorter snippets. But for now, Instagram is our main place where you can see all that content, whether it's shelter visits, and probably soon we'll be doing a visit to a fire station. All of our social impact campaign initiatives are all going to be revolving around Instagram. So follow us at underdog_brand on Instagram. And if you guys have any sort of suggestions for certain shelters or places we should visit to deliver cases, like just let us know. Shoot us a DM, comment on a post, or email us. We'd be more than happy to help out in any way we can. So we thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.